Hi, welcome to the Alan and Aaron Sports Talk Radio Show. Right.
Hello.
Hey, how you doing so far today, Marty?
Good. Can you see me?
I can't see you, but I can hear you.
Okay, you can't see me, but you can hear. Okay, let me see. Start video. Hang on.
All right, now I can see you. There you go.
Okay.
All
How
right.
are you?
I'm doing fantastic. How you been?
Very good, thank you. Very good.
That's good to hear. So for those who don't know, this is Marty Camilleri from Marty's Knockout Photography, joining us here on the Alan and Aaron Sports Talk Radio Show. So glad to have you with us. So we'll start right there. Oh, you're very welcome. How did this passion for boxing, for photography started?
Well, I first started, Joel was fighting, my son Joel Camilleri was fighting, and I had the camera taking photos of Joel. And that particular boxing function, they didn't have a photographer. So one of the officials came up to me and said, "Can you please take some photos? Because we've got no official photographer." I said, "Yeah, but I'm not professional." And he goes, "Oh, just a few, doesn't matter." So I did. And I thought, I like this. So I started doing it. Yeah, it became a real passion.
Wow, just a fate. Someone just asking you to take a picture, and then all of a sudden you're doing it now all the time.
I love it. And I've loved boxing all my life. So yeah, it really became a passion.
Yeah, I'd see that you have a quote, you live and breathe in boxing. So this started even before Marty, before your son was boxing?
Oh yeah, as a kid, my dad loved boxing and wrestling. He was into the wrestling and the boxing, and so he brought me up teaching me how to fight. Okay. And and then as I got older, I loved it. I did martial arts for it would have been 6 years.
Yes.
6 years I did it, and then I slowed down a bit. And when Joel, I used to train in my garage, and then Joel, I used to train Joel, but Joel didn't want a bar of it. Okay. And and then that's when he decided that he wanted to do it. And then I started taking him to the boxing, and I thought, oh, I want to start doing a bit of boxing myself. Yeah. And from there, the passion got stronger and stronger, and I was lucky enough to get a lot of good fights.
Yeah, that's an amazing story. So it seemed like you were really pushing him to get into the boxing.
Oh, yeah, I loved it. My husband hated it. Okay. And it's obviously inbuilt in Joel through me. So yeah, the passion came out, and he started fighting, and then I started taking the photos. Actually, I got my coach's license and started teaching people as well. So I still got it, but had a few injuries and stopped training.
Yeah, I did see that you were a former trainer. Do you miss training sometimes?
Oh, I really did. I went through a bit of I think with everybody, you've got a passion in certain areas, and you've got an outlet. My outlet was boxing, and go into the garage and train a bit, and then go out to a place up here called Footscray. It's Footscray Youth, where a lot of kids couldn't afford to pay for boxing training. So we charged a very low fee of $7 a week. And all the trainers were voluntary, and I did that for 13 years. Yeah, it was great. And it was like a family.
Yeah, that's really special to give a lot of people an opportunity in the area to learn to box at such a really minimal rate. And like I said, it was volunteer experience. That shows that you have a lot of passion for boxing.
Oh yeah, I love it. I love it. I live and breathe it. I am actually, my full-time job is a computer technician. I'm a computer tech, but after work, I run around taking the photos, and I travel interstate, do some of the really big fights. I've done a book on Joel. Actually, I've got it here. I'll show you.
Yeah.
got a book on Joel.
All right.
And with all my photos in it. Hang on, it's really hard to handle it. Hang on. Some of his fights there, and it's just his life of boxing. Some of his trainers.
Yes.
And I've done a few books on the Maloney twins. You know the Maloney twins? They fought in America. Yeah, okay. I did a book on the Maloney twins. I've done a few books on some of the boxers, and I've done another book. It's called One Wrong Move.
Okay.
Even the best get caught. And this book is all about getting hit. And this is Monday. See, that's so one page has got one boxer getting hit and the other boxer not getting hit, and there's Joel getting hit there in the stomach.
Yeah.
And there's I even got some on Manny Pacquiao. I did Manny Pacquiao's fight against Jeff Horn. And yeah, that's another passion of mine, doing the photos, creating books, and just explaining what the boxers go through. So I write a little paragraph in the front saying, you know, that their dedication and the pain they go through, you know, getting hit, and people don't realise how much they go through. Their training methods, their dieting methods, their injury and recovery. And I catch all that on the camera.
Yeah, that's remarkable, that work you're doing. And for those who don't know, you're the mother of Joel Camco Camilleri, and you know he has a big fight tomorrow. Talk about you being a mom, and he has a fight that's coming up tomorrow. Are you nervous? Are you a little excited for him? Or
it's really funny. A lot of people say to me, Marty, how did you take photos of your son? And I said, you know, at first before I was taking the photos, I used to walk back and forth and worry. And now I see it in a different way. I see it as a sport. I try to take away the motherly thing, but I still get nervous. But behind the camera, it's not as bad. You know, if he's getting hit, it doesn't look as bad. I'm concentrating on the move. And that kind of takes away, you know, my nervousness. But I get nervous at the beginning, and if he's not doing well, or luckily for Joel, he's never been severely hurt.
right.
You know, he's had a few cuts. But yeah, it's a great sport, and he loves it. He enjoys it. I mean, he's a qualified teacher, but he chooses to fight. So if he loves something, and I've got two boys. One's a gym instructor, and they both did university, but they both chose to go and do the sport. And it's all about passion with your kids. You know, if they don't love what they do, they won't put 100% in.
That's absolutely right. And that goes for your kids and just about anybody. If you don't have the heart or passion to do something,
exactly right,
it's not going to get done.
No, 100%, yeah. And that's why I always tell my kids, do what you love. I did push them to do the university. They both did about 4 or 5 years of uni. Joel got a Bachelor of Science and Psychology, and my other son did a degree in business. But you always need backup. Need backup. So, yeah. So, but they went out. They took after me in sports, because I trained 7 days a week when I was doing martial arts. So my husband doesn't like. He likes watching sports, but not the boxing. He doesn't like the boxing, but he goes for Joel. Yeah.
So will he watch the fight tomorrow, since he's not into it?
Oh no, he goes. He tells me he goes there only to make sure if Joel gets hurt, he'll be there. He said otherwise he would never attend. It's funny because he's an ex-copper. He's retired 5 years ago. He did 38 years in the police force, and you think you'd see all this, but you know, he doesn't like it. Yeah,
that's not his thing.
No, it's not his thing.
And we've had the pleasure of having Joel on our show here, for those who don't know, on the Alan and Aaron Sports Greatest Show. And he said he's just getting started with his boxing career. He got a lot left.
He's a very motivated boy, or man, I should say. Yeah, you got to give it to him. He trains hard. He's very motivated and very positive, and I push that into my kids when they were very young. Don't let anybody tell you you can't do it, because the more they tell you that, the more you want to prove them wrong. And yeah, and I try to put that into their head, and both of them are very positive men. Yeah,
They are, because Joel, he did explain some setbacks he had getting this fight, set back, the dates changed, the venue changed, and he had a very positive attitude about it. Talk about his positive spirit a bit.
Well, Joel's a never say never boy. He always says he can do it, and I think he's a bit too gutsy for his own liking. He used to fight anybody, anyone. You put somebody in front of me, he says, "Oh, I can do it, no problem." That's gutsy, sometimes too gutsy. But yeah, I mean, he grew up a bit tough. We grew up in he grew up in a rough western suburbs area, and you had to be tough to live in that area. His brother and him used to fight. There's only 15 months difference between Joel and his brother, and many times I come home from work and there's Joel in the corner, and his brother's punching him in the stomach, and he's saying, "It doesn't hurt, like it's tough, But yeah, he's grown up tough, and he's very motivated, and he's a good man. He loves to, as you know, he's very friendly, and he's got a very big fan base, and that motivates him even more. Like I said, there's nothing in the world that Joel doesn't think he can do, and that's good.
Yeah, that's very, very good that he has that positive attitude and that spirit that he's going to go after it.
Oh yeah, he wants to go to America. He said, "Mum, I'm going to America this year." He goes, "I'm going to go and train with some of the best," and everything's positive. Everything's positive, which is, you have to be that way.
Absolutely right. And with your photography, talk about the experience of you now getting in the ring with some of these big fights. You're getting great opportunities. Talk about that.
Well, it's really funny, because mine's more passion. I don't get paid a lot of money for this. This is my hobby. But I supply a lot of my photos to everywhere around the world. So my motivation as well, I pushed and pushed to get into these big fights, the Manny Pacquiao fights, I don't know, Danny Green, and some big fights, and mundane fights in Australia, fights that not a lot of people can go to unless you are some big novel, in advertising or something like that. Whereas I work for myself. Many times, there's a couple of people came up to me and said, "Marty, who are you? You just, I see you everywhere." And I say, and this is where passion comes into it. You try your best. If you try your best to get to these places, you will get to those places. And I love it. I get in the rings, and all the boxers know me. I'm like the mother of all the boxers. They come and cuddle me and put all their sweat around me. But when they cuddle you, think,
A little too close, right?
But I think you got to work hard for what you want. If you've got a passion, you got to work hard for it, and you got to push to get there. And a lot of people get knocked back in these fights. But I'm lucky enough to get into the ring and stand there with the boxers and on Foxstyle. I've done many Foxstyle fights. I just love it, and like I said, I'm very lucky.
Yeah, that is definitely something that you have a passion for, and your photography is awesome. Like, you get the right shot at the right moment. That's a skill set, and you can tell you practice that a lot.
It is. I think what happens is, before the boxer's gonna either jab or hook, I know you get to know the boxer, you get to know their style. Like, if they're going to jab, they're going to hook. For some just jab all the time, and I wait for it, and Look, when I finished the photos at the end of the fight, I go home. I stay up to 2, 3 o'clock in the morning going through the photos to see, oh, you know, these are awesome shots. I'll try to get the awesome ones. But it's so good when you can get the, you know, the face. Oh, it's horrible to say, but you know, the face smash and the blood coming out of their mouth. I got photos of little blood things coming out of their mouth. It's horrible, but it's a photo, you know, and it's an impressive photo. The mouth guard coming out of their mouth. I've got mouth guard flying out of their mouth. You know, just the sweat pouring and the sweat splatter. It just makes a great photo, and I like my photos to be a story, you know. And you know, when something like that's happening, or the ref's there or something, it makes a story. It's all about telling the story about the fight.
Yeah, definitely. And then you got the books there. And how could we support you and, you know, participate in getting some of your books?
Look, you can. I'll send you one, no problem. But I'm not really interested in making the money on the book. You know, it's just for me to advertise the photos, to advertise my photography, just to show that, you know, how passionate I'm about boxing. You know, I have sold quite a few, but I did that book. Excuse me for a second. I did that book in. It was about 2000. I didn't even write it. So this was, I think, about 2 years ago. I did my latest book. A lot of work. It takes months and months of, you know, putting things together and trying to make the book the best and get the best fighters. So the next book I will do will be on my next journey. But yeah, I think it's just about showing what the boxers go through. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's, you know, it's amazing. Look, people, whether you're a loser or a winner in the ring, you still go through, you know, the heartaches and the injuries and, you know, all the work of training. You still go through that, and people don't understand. You know, if they lose, they don't want to know you. If they win, they're all around you. You know what I mean? These boxers that go down, you know, like they're on a high and then go down. People forget about them. And I want people to remember them. And by doing that, even on Facebook, I put on birthday posts, and I'll have boxes on there that from 5, 6 years ago. I still wish them happy birthday. And some people say, who is that? And I said, well, this guy was Australian champion. This guy was like ready to go going to America to become world champion, and he had an injury, and people forget about that, you know.
Yeah, that is one of the sad parts of the business of boxing is that, you know, we had Keith Thurman on our show here earlier this year, and you know, he just lost to Manny Pacquiao, and it is just now he's just getting signed to a fight in January, so it took him a long time. And he's a very, very good boxer.
Yeah, it's excellent.
And you see that story, unfortunately, repeat itself quite often. It's sad. Talk about that part of boxing that people don't see, where boxers get forgotten, especially nowadays, if you lose one or two fights.
Yeah. Well, they say you know, you lose 1 or 2 fights, people don't want to know you. There's a young guy in Australia. His name's Wes Kappa, and another guy, Wade Ryan. These are 2 very good boxers that people were calling journeymen. You know, they go along and they fight people, anybody. But these 2 boxers are very talented boxers. Now, recently, Wade Ryan won a fight, and now he's won another one. And now he's no longer a journeyman. Everybody wants him. You know, It's all about winning. Yeah, everybody wants him because they see he's a good fighter. And there's another guy, Luke Woods, who's an amazing fighter in Australia, but nobody knows about him. But then he goes and fights somebody, a very good fighter, and then all of a sudden everybody wants him because he's winning. You know, this is these guys. You know, they go through so much. You know, once they lose, they put their head down, they hide away. But then if you're motivated, like Joel, he never gives up. He was told that he's finished after he fought Tim Tszyu. And that's when he said to me, Mum, I'm leaving, I'm going to another state. And I said, do what you have to do, mate. I said, just go to another state, do what you have to do. And that was the best thing he ever did. Got away from everybody and started a new life. So, you know, some people can't do that. Some people aren't motivated enough to do that, you know, and they go and all this mental health happens. So, yeah.
No, you're right. You got to have a strong mental health and positive attitude. Goes a long way, because you're right. He just said that on an interview, he's just getting started. He's almost 30 fights in. So
yeah.
So he's not throwing in the towel anytime soon, which is great. We love to see him fight and keep up that positive attitude. I'm sure he got some of that from you too.
Yeah, well, he said to me, Mum, he goes, I'm going to America. I'm going to go to America. I'm going to go to UK. He goes, I'm going to fight there. I'm going to show everybody who Cama KO is. And I said to him, you do that, son. You know, you do that. You know, and he will. He'll do that. You know, but like I said, you got to be like that. People, you know, think he's too positive, but there's never too positive. You have to be, right. Yeah. Yeah, that's it.
He never too positive. That's a great quote there. Yeah. And so I gotta have your prediction with tomorrow with the fight of Joel.
He'll definitely win. He'll definitely win. But then you know, anything can happen, but I'm pretty sure he'll win this fight, no problem. His last fight, and I'm a person, if he loses, I'll say he lost. But his last fight, he won that fight, and the scores didn't go his way. But yeah, and everybody said to me he won that fight. But you know, tomorrow he'll go out there and bring out the Cama KO in the ring, and he'll show everyone his style. No, he'll definitely win. Yeah.
Yeah, he says he's going for the knockout, so definitely.
Yeah, I know that. He used a lot of. He used to, when he first started, he used to knock out all the time, and then his trainer said to him, "Look, you know, start boxing." He was a bit of a brawler, so it's nice to see. It's nice to see him box, you know.
Yeah.
Box, but you know, he might get a bit cocky and go for the knockout. So yeah.
You know, stick to boxing. That's right. And then maybe the knockout will come
later. It'll come later.
Yeah, that's right. And one person I did want to mention who set up this interview is Glenn Earnshaw, top fan, and he requested that you send him 2 signed photos of yourself.
Of myself. You know, I don't see myself like in a famous boxer, but you know, a lot of people come up to me, Marty, can you take it? Can I have a photo with you? And I'm thinking, whoa, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
You know, and I shall do that. I'll even try to get a photo of me and Joel together and we'll get it signed. No problem.
Oh, that's awesome. I know Glenn would be happy about that for 2 of those. Yep. Yeah. He'll get one and he usually sends the other one to me because
well, I hope that if Joel does get to America, that I can go, and if he gets to fight in America, that I'll go to America. I'll definitely be following him. The only fight I missed was in the COVID, that we weren't allowed to travel interstate. Yeah, that's the only fight I've ever missed of Joel's. I'll travel anywhere for him. I'm a very dedicated mother, let me tell you.
That's awesome. That is very awesome. Dedication is so, because you joining us the day before his big fight. We really appreciate it.
No problem.
And definitely, and how could fans follow you who, you know, follow you either on social media to keep up with your steps?
Well, I put most of my photos, and I do have a big following actually. I have, what I normally do is when I go to a fight, I put up every fight and say who's won. So it's Marty Camilleri. I've got 2. I've got Marty's Knockout Photography, but I tend to put most of them on Marty Camilleri, and then under that comes Marty's Knockout Photography. So if you go to Marty Camilleri, you'll see all the fights that I put up, whether it's interstate or in Melbourne itself. And and you'll get a rundown of the fights that I'm at and what's happening. You know, the winner, the loser, or I also do a little video to say, you know, about the venue and what's it all going to be about. So yeah, go to my Facebook page. I'm more active on Facebook than I am on Instagram.
Okay, that's me too. I do some on Instagram, but I just love the Facebook. You can show more pictures. It's a little bit more, I think, visually appealing, my personal opinion.
I totally agree with you, Alan.
Yeah, so definitely that's Marty Camilleri. We really appreciate you joining us here on the Alan and Aaron Sports Talk radio show. And any last words you want to say to anybody out there in the boxing community?
Yes, like I said, if you're on a downer and you've lost the last few fights, don't give up. Go out there and be positive and show everybody how good you are.
That's great words of advice to live by. Show them how great you are, and definitely happy holidays to you and the family.
Thank you yourself as well.
Thank you so much for this interview and your time. We tremendously appreciate it.
Thank you, Alan. I've been watching your interviews. They're awesome.
Thank you. I appreciate saying that. And your photography is fantastic. Keep up the good work.
Thanks, Alan. Thank you very much for having me.
Oh, you're very welcome. My pleasure.
Okay. Take care.
Take care.
See you later.
Take care.